Okay, so let's start today's session. So there is something which I think I'll share later. Chitraji, would you like to begin with the sharing?
Yeah, I'm ready. This time I took that meeting, no, for March 29th, both of them met, no, Sherbindo and Mother. So I have one book, I think Jyotsnaji also mentioned about that on the Mother by Srinivasa Iyengar. Yeah, that he beautifully explained that meeting and the importance of that meeting also. I will read that actually. On 29th March 1914, the very day they arrived in Pondicherry, both of them, mother and her husband, from France, Mira and Paul Richard. He used to mention only Mira for a long time. I mean, only after Sherbindo called her mother, in this book actually, that mother, calling mother is started. Mira and Paul Richard met Sherbindo in the afternoon at 3:30. They were received at the top of the stairs that led up to the upstairs veranda. The moment Mira had so ardently looked forward to had arrived at last, and there was a blaze of instantaneous recognition. Sri Aurobindo saw Sri Aurobindo was clearly the master of her occult life, the Krishna she had met so often in her dream experiences. Their first meeting and the current of feelings that may have gone through them are echoed in these lines of Savitri. He quoted the lines from page number 399. Actually, I will read those lines also. Here first she met on the uncertain earth. Page number 399 of Savitri. Her Here first she met on the uncertain earth the one for whom her heart had come so far, attracted as in heaven star by star. They wondered at each other and rejoiced, and wove affinity in a silent gaze. A moment passed that was eternity's ray. An hour began the matrix of new time. So this is the thing. He explained so many things, and another one very important by K.D. Setna. He said the meeting of the two represents the coming together of the necessary creative powers by whom a new age would be born. And it is to be noted that both Sherbindo and the mother had been pursuing the inner life on essentially identical lines, which would unite spirit and matter. So their joining of forces was the most natural thing. And it was not only a doubling of strengths, but also a linking of complementaries. Sri Aurobindo's main movement of consciousness may be said to have been an immense knowledge power from above the mind, though whatever was necessary for an integral spirituality was also there in one form or another. The mother's chief movement may be said to have been an intense love power from behind the heart, even if all else needed for an all round yoga was present as a ready accessory. When she and Shirbindo met, they completed each other, brought fully into play the spiritual energies in both, and started the work of total earth transformation from high above and deep within.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful, really beautiful. And also, in this context, I want to share another beautiful thing actually. They are essentially identical, he mentioned, no? You might be knowing, I think so. But shared this Gayatri, no, actually, and the meaning also for that. तत्सवितुर्वरं रूपं ज्योतिः परस्य धीमहि यन्नः सति न दीपयेत्. Meaning is, let us meditate on the most auspicious form of Savitri, on the light of the Supreme, which shall illumine us with the truth. Okay, this prayer actually, this Gayatri is corresponded with Mother's prayer in the year 19, I will say, 1911. Can't you read it? Actually, it is there actually in the book Words of Long Ago.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I will read that prayer also because it is really wonderfully synced together. Same meaning, but once Alokda mentioned, this is the more wonderful Gayatri than Sri Aurobindo's Gayatri. He mentioned actually. I'll read it. In an ardent aspiration towards the Sun of Truth, towards the Supreme Light, the source and intellectual life of the universe, so that it may pervade us entirely and illumine with its great brilliance our minds and hearts, all our thoughts and our actions. What she's telling, we will take a resolution. Yes, I would like us to make the resolution to raise ourselves each day in all sincerity and goodwill in an ardent aspiration towards the Sun of Truth, towards the Supreme Light, the source and intellectual life of the universe, so that it may pervade us entirely and illumine with its great brilliance our minds and hearts, all our thoughts and our actions. Then we shall acquire the right and the privilege of the following the counsel of the great initiate of the past, who tells us, with you hearts overflowing with compassion, go forth into this world torn by pain, be instructors, and wherever the darkness of ignorance rules, there light a torch. We used to actually, I told you know about Singapore Satsang. We used to chant this Gayatri every day between 6:30 to 7 actually, along with this mother's prayer. It is beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you. So, this is in Words of Long Ago, you said.
What words of long? I think in collected works of mother also it is there, because Alokda mentioned that time I didn't know, so I put the thing again and again. I wrote all the lines.
Yeah.
Whenever, yeah, then I found it in words of long ago, and also it is Srinivasa Iyengar's on the mother. No, that book also contains this prayer actually. Yeah, same thing, same
Yeah.
meaning.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. This is the sharing today.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else like to share anything? Anything that you may have come across? Anything that you read?
I I don't have anything to share. Just come here to listen if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a small quote that I read which I really like.
Huh.
It's by Khalil Gibran, but it like would be I think applicable to all masters and mystics. So it's a very small one. It says half of what I say is meaningless, but I say it so that the other half may reach you. So you know how like at times we get stuck, है ना कि कुछ we read something और ये क्या हुआ या वो क्या हुआ kinds, but it's like to just जैसे वो कबीर का you say ना that थोता थो what is that thing that दोहा I'm sorry I
कि
forget.
पढ़ पढ़ जग हुआ।
नहीं कि वो मेन चीज उठा लेता है
अच्छा,
और बाकी
साधु साधु ऐसा चाहिए जैसा सूप सुभाए, सार सार को गही लहे, थोथा दे उड़ाए।
yeah, so exactly, so this is what came to me when I read this कि how important it is not to get stuck है ना like and just keep moving on because it's not how it's said, it's what is the essence of the thing.
Yeah,
This
that's very
is
important. Beautiful. Yeah.
thank you.
I think Osho says, I think one of the books by Osho, it's titled as The Finger Pointing Towards the Moon. So whatever words we may talk in whatever, even the masters, the words of master, they are always pointers. They are not exactly, because the truth cannot be defined. And it is good to remind this, through this quote, because we often get stuck in the pointers itself rather than, looking at the moon directly. Yeah, great. Anything else? Anyone? Nandini, have you read anything or Jyotsna ji.
No, Monica, this no, I haven't read anything.
Mhm.
But if Auntie could just, sort of shed a little more light on that when they met,
Mm.
when Sri Aurobindo and mother sort of met, and she says, so obviously, uh, was it also, I mean, love in a different language, the love of each other, or was it? It was also, I mean, I understand it was beyond that. So can uh, probably a little more light on that. When they met each other, she says, right? So they filled a light. So little bit on their meeting. Is there any sort of excerpt on that?
Yeah, something other also there. I will read it out actually by Nalinikant Gupta about what Sri Aurobindo told about mother actually. The first time Sri Aurobindo happened to describe her qualities, he said he had never seen anywhere a self surrender so absolute and unreserved. He had added a comment that perhaps it was only women who were capable of giving themselves so entirely and with such sovereign ease. This implies a complete obliteration of the past, erasing it with its virtues and faults. When she came here, she gave herself up to the Lord, Sri Aurobindo, with the candid simplicity of a child, after erasing from herself all her past, all her spiritual attainments, all the riches of her consciousness. Like a newborn babe, she felt she possessed nothing. She was to learn everything right from the start, as if she had known or heard about nothing. Actually, this is the starting, but after some time, Sri Aurobindo used to call her mother.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's so beautiful. Yeah. Very.
I think in one of the talks, Alokda also shares about this meeting. I don't remember the exact talk. And there he refers to, what all mother had achieved in her personal sadhana. And even after achieving all that personal, spiritual experiences, all the realizations, even then, with this, as you were sharing, Chitraji, with the simplicity of a child, she surrendered herself completely to Sri Aurobindo. I think that's so beautiful, so much to learn from there, otherwise we in our little experiences just get stuck somewhere, and make them labels on our shoulders, that this is who I am. And again it becomes a part of the ego actually, rather than giving it to the divine, it's coming from the divine for the divine. We make it as our own, कि ये मेरा है, और मुझे ये सिद्धि प्राप्त हुई है, and whatever. So it's a beautiful lesson in humility, I think, what this episode tells about.
Yeah, that surrender was total, because it became an example for other disciples, it seems.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful.
She never uttered a word, she sat near his feet, that's all. Both her husband and Sri Aurobindo talked, but she found it everything has gone from her head.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next also the same explanation is there actually. Even mother herself told her
Mm,
own recollection of the meeting 16 years after was
mm,
significant. When I first met Sri Aurobindo in Pondicherry, I was in deep concentration,
mm,
seeing things in the supermind,
mm,
things that were to be but which were somehow not manifesting. I told Sri Aurobindo what I had seen. This is later actually. What I had seen and asked him if they would manifest. He simply said yes. And immediately I saw that the supramental had touched the earth and was beginning to be realized. This was the first time I had witnessed the power to make real what is true. Maybe because of that, we are all here. Really talking. this path is a beautiful one, wonderful one. There are so many things in this actually. Because you can pursue the path only with flowers. With flowers and its meanings, that book has whole philosophy in it. She used to quote her prayers and meditations for a flower, actually, as a meaning. There are so many things with flowers, or alone with Savitri, or alone with mother's prayers and meditations. But even after getting all these things, our mind is always doubting.
I think that's because so that our feet remain grounded, we are not up in the air. So it's good that the doubts and skepticism keep on coming in between. They keep us grounded.
That also mother knows actually, yeah.
Anyone else? Jyotsna ji, would you like to share anything?
Apparently, on the next day after meeting Sri Aurobindo, um, she said, "It seems to me that I am being born to a new life, and all the methods, the habits of the past can no longer be of any use. It seems to me that what I thought were results is nothing more than a preparation. It is as though I was stripped of my entire past, of its errors as well as its conquests, as though all that has vanished and made room for a newborn child, what Chitradi said, whose whole existence is yet to be lived. An immense gratitude rises from my heart. It seems to me that I have at last reached the threshold I sought so much." She said that, and I think it begins the next chapter with consecration, Chitradi. I think I will reread this again.
No problem, yeah. There are so many things Srinivasa Iyengar mentioned, a whole lot of chapters there actually. You
Yeah.
have that book, no? Yeah.
Yes, it's in front of me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is the one.
Yeah.
So simple, the cover.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Jyotsna ji. Yeah.
There's one more very nice thing which starts in the beginning of the book in part one as the opening sentence on the page, which mother gave a message on the 22nd of June 1958. Do not ask questions about the details of the material existence of this body. They are in themselves of no interest and must not attract attention. Throughout all this life, knowingly or unknowingly, I have been what the Lord wanted me to be. I have done what the Lord wanted me to do. That alone matters.
I think we also have to, I mean, to think like that actually.
Yes,
Yeah, we should not.
that we
Yeah,
have to be what they want us to be and not we what we want us to be.
whenever I read this, I used to think, but how the past is clinging us, how yeah.
Yeah.
I just now, Monica. I mean, I think anyone who can answer this. I was just before. I think Jyotsna read that passage. The question was that, so so when, I mean, yeah, you know, when you meet someone or you're sort of destined to meet that person, what what would have sort of entailed in that person's soul plan to meet that kind, to meet Sri Aurobindo, right? I mean, rather mother had to cross over and come over to Pondicherry. And then Jyotsna read that passage. Is that something, so in your everyday life, sometimes you would love to question that, you know, is there a possibility to meet someone like that?
I think Nandini here मुझे लगता है कि first of all
No,
all
so when
है ना
I think the answer came as Jyotsna, the way she says, right? The Lord has planned whatever. I
exactly
mean, the Lord, yeah,
exactly that's what I was going to say, you know, that it's just the
yeah,
working of grace. Yeah.
yeah. And the question, just after Chitra read that, and then, you know, that question was sort of when she says that's total surrender to the grace and, you know, of Sri Aurobindo. And the question arose in my mind, and then Jyotsna just read that passage.
Nandini, I just opened the book and that was the first
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah. Uh, Thank you. Yeah.
so I guess they give us their answers themselves,
So,
provided we want them.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll share something if no one else is sharing. This is a small book that I have, again, a compilation of Mother and Sri Aurobindo's works. So it's on accidents, accidents, a slackening of consciousness. So here the question the sadhak is asking is, what are the causes of accidents? Are they due to a disequilibrium? If one answers deeply, Mother is answering, outwardly there are many causes, but there is a deeper cause which is always there. If the nervous envelope is intact, accidents can be avoided. And even if there is an accident, it won't have any consequences. As soon as there is a scratch or a defect in the nervous envelope of the being, and according to the nature of this scratch, its place, its character, the scratch, there will be an accident which will correspond to the diminution of resistance in the envelope. So Mother says that there is a nervous envelope around the being. I think reference to the emotional being, your life force. Uh, and there Mother says that if there is a scratch, if owing to the forces or whatever, we keep on doing to ourselves, there is a scratch in this envelope, then one becomes prone to accidents. And I think that also invokes us to live a deeper life where we are so tuned within the being that we are sensitive to these scratches. Usually we are not sensitive to these scratches. We are all our consciousness is just, out there thinking about that, thinking about that person, this person, that past, that future. So our consciousness is not ingathered together. And in absence of that ingathered consciousness, I'm not even aware what is going on in my being. And that's why I miss reading these scratches, or maybe I'm feeling certain uneasiness, maybe I'm feeling that I should not be meeting the person or not be going there, but I'm avoiding it, so I'm avoiding that little hints from the being. Yeah. And then Mother says further, I believe almost everybody is psychologically aware of one thing: the accidents occur when one has a sort of uncomfortable feeling. This uncomfortable feeling, and Mother talks about it a lot, that when one is more and more in touch with the psychic being, the inner being, then whenever you do or say or indulge in anything that is not in alignment with the truth of the being, you always sense this uneasiness, some heaviness, some uneasiness. And it's good to get in touch with that heaviness so that you are able to just shed it off immediately, not make it a way of life, that heaviness. Then mother says, when one is not fully conscious, which most of us are not usually, and self-possessed means self-absorbed, gathered within, when one feels uneasy, so we are not able to sense that uneasiness. In any case, generally people have a feeling that they are not fully themselves, kuch garbad hai, something is amiss, something is amiss, and still I am doing and indulging into actions, not taking care of that depth within the being which is calling, rather than still engaging in outwardly activity, making plans, making decisions, and not addressing that something which is calling from within. In any case, generally, people have a feeling that they are not fully themselves, not fully aware of what they are doing. Hmm? If one were fully conscious, the consciousness wide awake, accidents would not occur, mother says. Accidents would not occur, because the moment I have that uncomfortable, uneasy sensation, I will be able to stop my legs. I will not go in a blind rush and whatever has been on the mind, just do it, thak, right? So if there is a indication from the inner being, it wants to tell me something, I will be then able to listen to it. That's what mother says. Accidents would not occur. One would make just the right gesture, the necessary movement to avoid the accident. For example, if I am making a plan and I'm not really convinced of the plan, and yet in the rush of the ego, the vital vigor, I'm just going ahead, making the plan, making the plan. No, I want to do it in spite of whatever situations are hinting me not to. Still I'm making the plan and wanting to go according to the plan. So then I'll be able to avoid the accident by listening to this inner uneasiness, which usually we are not able to listen to. This intuitive guidance. And then uh, then mother gives an example. A man who is busy solving a mental problem and is very concentrated upon his mental problem becomes inattentive to physical things. Yeah. So for example, if I'm solving a maths trouble, or whatever is going on in my job, working on that, I'm just too focused so that I'm not aware of anything else than that. And if he happens to be in a street or in a crowd, his attention fixed upon his problem in the mind, he will not make the movement necessary to avoid the accident. So it's a different phenomenon. So a concentrated mind and an ingathered consciousness, they are two different things. Then that is what mother shares here, that if I am focused on just one little plan, I cannot say that I have an ingathered consciousness, a consciousness which is aware of the movements of the being. Yeah. And then mother shares in sports, for example, in accidents. Yeah, Nandini, you want to share? Please share. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Monica, could you go back and sort of again read that and come to the, yeah, I didn't get that. There was, yeah, not much connection, huh?
Okay.
Like, could you read that passage again and then sort of,
Yeah, I'll read it.
yeah.
Yes. So mother is sharing that whenever an accident is going to happen, we always have an uncomfortable feeling within the being. But mostly we are not conscious how men live. They are not conscious so that they can notice these inner movements, right? So mother is sharing, I believe almost everybody is psychologically aware of one thing, that accidents occur when one has a sort of uncomfortable feeling, when one is not fully conscious, when one feels uneasy, right? But usually, then that's what mother is sharing, that usually we are not even aware, so we miss that uncomfortable feeling, right? In any case, generally people have a feeling that they are not fully themselves, not fully aware of what they are doing. If one were fully conscious, the consciousness wide awake, accidents would not occur. One would make just the right gesture and in necessary movement to avoid the accident. So if I get this unpleasant sensation within the being, I will be able to listen to it, not in a mad rush, just follow my mental plan. That's what mother is saying. But usually we are so focused on outward activities that our consciousness is not ingathered. So I miss this subtle feeling of uneasiness or uncomfortable, feeling. We miss that. Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, nowadays it is very common, no, because of cell phones. Yeah, it's very bad nowadays. Nobody cares. Even drivers, if you call, no, they will also talk. We can't say anything. Actually, yeah, it's very bad.
Let me read just last paragraph from this. I think it's very interesting. Yeah. So mother is sharing that if, for example, for a lack of sleep, lack of rest, or an absorbing preoccupation or all sorts of things which tire you, when you are not above them, so as if something in my life is kind of overwhelming in nature, if the vital envelope is a little damaged, it does not function perfectly, and any current of force whatever which passes through is enough to produce an accident. So owing to the fact that हम जो usually एक जीवन जीते हैं, we make external things, people and situations so important in our life, so important that we lose our sanity. We are ready to give away our sanity in order to fix them, and that makes our consciousness really slackening, like it is shattered in pieces. Adi udhar hai, adi udhar hai, adi udhar hai, adi udhar hai. Why? Because I feel, oh my god, these are so many important things I have to do. While if one realizes that there is nothing most important than maintaining an inner poise, once that sutra is set, then nothing in the world can sway me so deeply as things usually do in day to day life. And again, having said that, it's not that some or the other deeper challenge may not come, it will still come, but then more and more I will be given strength owing to the inner calm or inner poise that has now developed a habit of being maintained. no? And mother talks then about attentiveness. Yeah, there are days when one feels quite not exactly uneasy, but as though one were trying to catch something which escapes. You're not able to, you maybe want to understand something, but it's escaping, for example, your attention. One can't hold together, so as if my being feels scattered a little bit. One is half diluted. These are the days of accidents, mother says. These are the days of accidents. You must be attentive. Naturally, this is not to tell you that you shut yourself up in a room and not to stir yourself out when you feel like that. Mother is not saying that, whenever I am feeling half diluted, just shut yourself up in a room. Not like that. Rather, I mean that you must watch all the more attentively. So giving more attention to the inner movement. See, chal kya raha hai, what is the majra going on? Be all the more on your guard, not allow precisely this inattentiveness, this slackening of consciousness to come in. I think this is the beauty of inner adventure. And mother shares again and again that when she was little, she never used to go to the entertainment people required, because this itself is so entertaining in nature. Yeah.
Have you ever noticed anybody that a common thing like a sore throat, suppose you've eaten something or something that is a trigger factor for a illness or a sore throat, which is very common, which we know that, okay, I'll get a sore throat with this, but you eat that and you're tempted and you do the taste. But if at that given moment, when the tickling in the throat comes, you are aware and you say, Ma, you ask for protection from mother and say, no, I don't want to get sick. I want to remain aware and not get sick. 9 out of 10 times, the attack of the sore throat or the URTI or whatever minor ailment is aborted. It doesn't come. And I experimented with it when I read Integral Healing on a similar lines, like an accident, similarly, or for illness. And she said, when your outer envelopes even develops a slight crack in it, you're inviting illness, or even the thought of an illness, you're inviting it. You've given it a royal invitation to come in. So you try to experiment and say to that little niggling thing that, no, you don't come. I will be aware and you don't come. Leave me. Ma, come and get hold of this and take it out. Don't let it enter my system. It's sitting on the surface. It goes. 9 out of 10 minutes gone. So I've experienced it. It was like a game for me initially, but then it became serious when I realized that it works. Has anybody else noticed it?
Yeah, I can relate with that, Jyotsna ji. Very true. Yeah.
Maybe after getting affected by it, I noticed it so many times. It would, end in, maybe it would be a major thing. It would have been avoided actually. Those experiences I heard, because I had a very severe back pain. I just fell down. I couldn't get up or I couldn't lie down. This is 2 or 3 months before, and what I don't know. Even the doctor, he advised me with 4 of the yoga poses actually. I used to practice the yoga daily, but he emphasized on some other yoga practices. Really, it worked very well. After that, I didn't get anything actually. He said, even after that, if you get, you go for X-ray and scan everything, then we will see. But after that, I didn't get anything. So like that, yeah, it would touch you and it will go.
Yeah, Taru, there is something here. Let me share on the thing that you asked. Just let me put the charger on. So you are asking, defined what accidents are. What is the definition of an accident? So at the moment, I can't really find it. The definition, I can't really find it, but maybe it's there. I will have a look again and maybe share it with you later. One thing which we also heard in the talk today by Dr. Soumitra Basu, uh, Mother shares here on accidents that there is a moment of choice, even in an accident. For instance, one slips and falls. Just between the moment one has slipped and the moment one falls, there is a fraction of a second. At that moment, one has a choice. It may be nothing much, it may be very serious. Only the consciousness must naturally be wide awake, and one must be in contact with one's psychic being constantly. And this is what Dr. Soumitra Basu was also sharing today. One must be in contact with one's psychic being constantly. There is no time to make the contact. ये नहीं हो सकता कि अगर मैं पहले से ही अंधाधुंध जीवन जी रही हूँ तो उस मोमेंट में एक्सीडेंट के मेरा साइकिक बीइंग सामने आ जाए और मुझे कोई it gives me an intuitive insight. That is not going to happen. So that's what it is shared here, that one must be in contact with the psychic constantly. There is no time to make the contact. So it will not happen immediately. As again Kabir also says, ki in Gita also it said that, so Arjuna, you remember me at all times. So that constant connection with the inner being has to be made a practice, and not in the moment of some challenge I want to invoke it. Again Kabir says, sukh mein sumran na kiya, dukh mein karte yaad, kahe kabir ta das ki kaun sune faryad. So in the moment of a challenge, if I am asking for that connection, it will not happen in a click. The preparation has to go on before that. And I'll just go further. So there is no time to make the contact. One must be in contact, mother shares. Between the moment one slips and moment one is on the ground, if the mental and psychic formation is sufficiently strong, then there is nothing will happen, nothing happens. But if at that moment the mind, according to its habit, becomes a pessimist and tells itself, I have slipped, that lasts the fraction of a second. That doesn't even take a minute. It is a fraction of a second. During a fraction of a second, one has the choice. But one must be so awake every minute of one's life. So this is the catch, for each one of us, that we cannot expect miracles to happen without the preparation desired for that. And that is the invocation, I think, through all these sessions, that is it possible for us to live a life consciously, deeply in touch with our inner truth every day of our life, and not on just special occasions. Yeah, that's what mother says. And mother says that if that fraction of second has been missed, mother says if one misses it, it is finished. So you cannot help it. You fall and trip over or break your leg or whatever, right? As Jyotsna ji was also sharing that, in the minute that you sense that twiggling in the throat or something, if you are aware, if you're conscious of that movement and you offer it to the mother, there, if you can do it, otherwise it will take the whole course that it has to take. Yeah. But then again, it's a learning lesson for us.
The reason why I basically asked a definition is because, when I think of accident, it's like something that wasn't supposed to happen that happened, right? Or that could happen. And yet, we in a narrow mind have very clear definitions. Na, ki this is right, this is wrong, this is an accident, this is not, this was meant to be, kind of a thing. So, just wondering that is our definitions of accidents, like how do you know something that was not supposed to happened and that was not supposed to happen? I know, I'm so sorry, I'm kind of talking in
No,
circles.
you are completely making sense, Taru. And I remember that mother has shared that which appears like an accident to you not appear like an accident to a yogi if he sees the events which are not usually visible on the surface.
Exactly, yeah, that's exactly what I
Exactly.
just wanted to know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So mother has
yeah.
shared. I am not catching in which book I read it,
No,
but
that's all right. I don't need to know, the exact things, but just this concept, because even what Dr. Basu was talking about, like if I stick with my definition of accidents and
yeah,
what I was talking about, something was not clicking. So
yeah,
then the next question came that what if my definition of an accident is wrong, right? So yeah,
right,
that's,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
And how now that, there is a parallelism drawn between accidents and illnesses, because what Jyotsna ji said, I've
Yeah,
lived it, I live it. So that is totally clear. But because accidents, they are thankfully not that common. So, one cannot really kind of practice them again and again to know that yes, this works. But the parallelism drawn, which I couldn't connect before, that, it's the same negative thought kind. It's the same thing, that pessimism that you were talking about. So if you like, that really helped me. So like, I just want to thank Jyotsna ji as well to see how it's the same thing in a different cover,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, बिल्कुल.
But somehow हमारे दिमाग में, say like she spoke about a sore throat. It's
Mm,
like, oh, sore throat happens, gets all right. So we don't give it that thing. But
yeah.
when we hear the word accident, then
Mm,
something is like, इसमें तो कुछ, something big, something, special, तड़का मार के आया है type. So we kind of, put it aside कि this is a special occurrence and special circumstances would be needed to, and the mind kind of rejects how can it be controlled, it seems such a big thing. But
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And if one is in deep connection with the person who actually has encountered the accident, if the other person can actually